What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this beautiful Willy Wednesday afternoon. Well, it's Wednesday for us here in America, but for my mate Cameron Swain, he's all the way in Australia, so it's actually Thursday morning for him. But before we get into this episode, it is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. And mate, Cameron, I've been so excited about this. This podcast come together pretty quick within less than 24 hours.
Yeah. I was just at work yesterday, and you hit me up to do the podcast, and I was doing nothing today. And I always love coming on for a chat. It's always good to talk about the racing, and also with you. You're a cool guy. I love the Americans. They're all awesome people. But yeah.
Thank you, mate. And me, I love, the Australians and the Europeans and everything. I'm a huge fan. Of course, there's so many legends in Australia. Of course, Anthony Gobert, right? The Go Show and his brother Aaron and Matt Mladen, and man, I can go on and on. But Australia, that's a place that I always want to visit. One day I will make it down under and go to Phillip Island and come hang out with you guys and as Jack Miller says, get a proper Barbie in.
Proper Barbie.
Yeah, proper Barbie.
Come down to the World Superbikes at Phillip Island at the end of February.
I wish I could this year. I'm not going to be able to make it this year, but yeah, I will. Honestly, it's on my bucket list to come out to ASBK. I'm ticking off all my bucket list before I kick the bucket, right? So it's BSB. I want to go back there. I want to do the TT. I want to come to ASBK and World Superbike, and so I'll definitely make it for sure. But listen, Cameron, dude, it's an absolute honor to have you back on. This is our second podcast together of many we're going to do in the future. I know people don't know this because I hadn't talked about this publicly, but I actually tried to get Cameron over here this year for Moto America. It didn't happen to pan out quite the way I envisioned it, right? We envisioned it, but hopefully I'm going to be on it. I'm going to work hard this year. I'm going to try to bring in to Moto America in 2026. You can come over here and kick some ass.
Yeah, that's always the plan in whatever championship I do. But like I've always been interested in the Moto America Championship, and I'd love to go there. It'll be a good experience for me, and it seems like a really cool paddock, and a lot of people have gone there and done really well, and sort of made a living as well. But it'd also be good for the Moto America Championship to have an Aussie come over and try and mix it up again, like in the past with other guys. But so I'm always looking out for options over there and keen to jump over when I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Most Australians that actually come over here actually mop the floor up, right? You had Matt Mladen, which just dominated the sport back in the day, which was awesome. I actually got to meet Mladen. He was always one of my favorites, right? And what I loved about Mladen versus all the other riders was he was no bullshit. It was like, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to kick your ass, right? And that's all that matters is winning. So that whole mentality was just it was different then. Now it's you see it a lot more, but back then, everybody was friendly except for MotoGP. Everybody's friendly and huggy and kissy and all that shit in MotoGP. Where we need those rivalries, right? So it was good, man. I actually ran into Mladen at Jersey last year in 2024. Him and his two daughters was here, and it's an absolute honor to see him again, man. I was all excited. Cameron, I get when you see me I'm like, bro, what is up? Whoa, let's go. And you're like, holy shit, dude. Like it's yeah. So listen, man, we got a lot to talk about. We covered our first podcast together on how you got started on two wheels. We talked a little bit about the 2024 season because it was still going on. So let's just pick up where we left off, bro. Let's talk about the 2024 season and how do you think it went?
Yeah, so 2024 for me was like, it ended off pretty well, and it was a year of just constant learning and figuring out how to become a better rider. First year racing in Europe in the World Championship. that was massive. And the beginning of the year started off. I had good pace and that, but was never getting the results I wanted. Like, was always finishing, sort of 7th position, 10th, there or thereabouts. Just always off the back of the front group. And it took me till the second last round in France, you know, until I got my first win, which was my first podium as well. But that was just sort of out of the blue. But it was a wet race, and I remember just going out there and sort of I qualified 6th, and just thought on the warm up lap I felt pretty good, and I was like, this is an opportunity for me to take advantage and make the most. And so we managed to win that by 4 seconds, and then
Dominating.
yeah, yeah. So that was amazing, man. Like, for sure, the best feeling I've ever had in my life, and just like constant working hard with the family and myself, and then finally getting that result was just incredible. Like, but then we moved on to the next round, in the last round in Spain, and I really felt like I was bringing the momentum into there. Like, first session out there was top 3 in practice, and up with the home Spanish boys, and then qualified top in 4th position, and then got a podium in race 2 again, and in the dry, in the most hectic race of the year, with I think it was like 13 people fighting for the win at one stage. But so finally able to show that I belong there, and we weren't there to mess around, and just cemented who I was. And that's helped me get my ride in the World Supersport 300 for this year.
Dude, listen, Cameron, I love it. A couple things real quick I want to touch base on. Mate, you, my friend, is an absolute legend. I told you that on the first podcast when we met, and you are. What a feeling and emotions that when I heard about it, of course, on social media, because I didn't get a chance to watch it, bro, I was absolutely ecstatic. So thank you so much for the emotions. It was absolutely wonderful. I was so happy and proud of you. Just like, dude, your dad's proud of everybody that's been behind you is so proud of you, right? Plus, it's so good for you mentally because now you know I belong here because
Yep.
I can win, right? So that also elevates your game, not physically but mentally elevate your game. The following round you show up, you're in the top 3, qualify P4, on the podium again. It's not top step, right? But still that podium is it's everything. It's what feelings? I couldn't imagine how you felt that day you won, right? It was like a big chip come off your shoulder, like, I
Yeah.
really do belong here, right? This is not just a dream. I do belong here.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, just couldn't believe it. Like, because I'm so hard on myself, and then like no one's harder on me than myself. And if I, qualify not in the top 5, I get so angry at myself. I don't show it in front of people, but like, it's not. I'm never happy unless you're showing you're at the top, because at the end of the day, you're never remembered for coming 7th or 6th. If you want to make it anywhere in the sport, then you got to be at the top. And so I know that if I'm never getting the results that I need, then it's just like all I just think is, why am I here? You got to be, if you want to make it anywhere, you got to be obviously getting the results. If you don't have the money, like my family, but if you've got the money to just pay for the rides, then that's all sweet. But like I said, for me, I have to get results, and to finally just show a bit of consistency at the end, and that I had the speed, like I said, was massive. So yeah.
Absolutely, it is. You know, it's a big deal to have that confidence.
Mm.
And the speed will come. You know, a happy rider is a fast rider, one
Yep.
hundred percent. And when you doubt yourself, man, it messes you up so much mentally. Right now, you're like, oh, I'm not fast. Do I really belong here? You're not
Yep.
happy, and then you're not having fun, right? So you need to get back to that, find that happiness, and you getting that win, and then backing it up with a podium back to back. I mean, that's huge, right? For your confidence, your mental state, the whole nine. So, with all that being said, let me ask you this: what was your biggest challenge this year?
Mm. My biggest challenge, probably it was just being able to. You gotta to get the results. You gotta have everything fall into place at the right times altogether, and have a bit of luck too. And it was just having the correct racecraft in the races, timing everything correctly, setting yourself up in the right positions for the last lap. Because in 300 racing with all the slipstreaming, be so you have to calculate all the time, and figure out where when you pass, that's going to have you set up, and where that's going to have you set up before that straight, and if you'll get slipstreamed on the next straight, or if you'll be able to slipstream someone else. So it was just being able to line everything up in place to be able to get the good results, and that is by far the hardest thing when you're mixing it with 12 other bikes, in at one time, and yeah, trying to calculate everything when everyone's, you know, something will
Pushing.
happen on someone, and then they'll react, and it's like a domino effect. Everyone behind, and you can, it's you're always just looking at the back of someone's tire in those races, and it's usually you can be when you're on your own, you can be looking through the corner up at your reference point, 200 meters down the road, but you can't at those times. You got to, or else something will happen and you'll run up their ass. But
Right. No, you're right. It's a lot of people. The majority of the fans they show up, they just see you out there racing. They don't understand the strategy. There is strategy to this sport. You
mm,
know, it's like you said, especially in the lower classes, you don't have the horsepower to make a pass. You got to be in that draft. You got to stay on the gas. It's late braking. It's corner speed. Um, so it is a game. It's a physical game, it's a mental game, but also it's a race strategy game too as well as the race goes on. You sit down with your team, you're like, well, if I'm in third position here or fourth position here, I know I can get this behind this guy if I'm this close and get in his draft and pass him comfortably in his corner and maintain it. It's a whole chessboard game
yeah, yeah,
when it comes to racing. But again, bro, the emotions when I seen it, I was just like, I was screaming. My wife was like, "What do you keep hollering about?" I was like, "Cameron Swain, he freaking won! Let's go!" And she was like, "Oh God, here we go. Can you go outside and scream and yell?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I'm outside my front yard going,
yeah,
just screaming, and people are like, what is this nut doing right here in the front yard yelling, right? Um, but that's what it did for me. You're made all the way across here in the United States, man. I was so happy for you because I knew that it changed you mentally. Right now, I'm like, dude, he's got the confidence. Now the world is literally right here in his hands, and he can show everybody what he's worth, which is everything,
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, man. It's awesome, bro. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. This whole year obviously was a challenging year. 300 class, people look at small bikes, they're like, oh, well, they make 30, 40 horsepower. They can't be that fat. Listen, that's where you learn your proper racecraft and racing. It's so
Mm,
important, right?
yeah.
But with all this being said, who was the it's kind of a bland question, but who were the couple people that pushed you the most physically and mentally on the track, and what did you learn from that?
On the track, the the Brazilian riders were always very just like fast from the get go, um, and like I was actually pretty friendly with them off the track, but when they're on the track, they were ruthless people. Like the the Brazilians were very aggressive, had have a aggressive style, and they'd push you pretty hard, but in the race, and yeah, they were quite savvy with what to do in the race. But um, for sure, the fastest rider all round was the Spanish ones, Mark Vic and Gonzalo Sanchez. They were top two in the championship. So when it came to the qualifying pace, it was always usually they were setting the benchmark, but it was. But also the Japanese riders, when on their day, they were really good. But I always found the Brazilians to be the ones that once they're on the track, they just didn't care who you were, and it was just um, uh, you know screw you mentality. But off the track, they were really friendly. But so they pushed me hard in the races, and they were hard to beat. And the Spanish were for sure the most just um, very fast riders on their own, and but it's because they've got the facilities. They got
Yeah.
um, four MotoGP tracks within I think 7 hours. There's Valencia, Jerez, Aragon, Catalunya. They race Spanish superbikes on the side. They do track days. They've also got other tracks like Navarra and stuff like that they train at. So that's always going to help, and the way their track days are set up as well for training is a much better format compared to here. They get more track time, and um, but yeah, also they get to do so much bike training at the same time, just other disciplines of bike training. So yeah, but Brazilians and Spanish were for sure the hardest in my opinion.
No, I mean you're right, Cameron. So that's the downfall of America and Australia. Right? Australia is freaking huge. So, but that's the plus of the UK as far as BSB and the kids in Spain. There's so many kart tracks around. I mean,
Yeah.
you're in the middle of the UK. You're 6 hours pretty much from, and you can hit every BSB race track there is, right? So it's cost feasible. You can ride all the time. It don't cost that much. Same thing in Spain. Whereas here in America and where you at down under, it's yeah, I want to go to Laguna Seca to get some practice days in. It's a 32-hour drive, right? Let's just be honest. By the time you gas and food and sleep and yeah, it's 2-3 day adventure. Same thing with over there. I could imagine in Australia, right? The racetracks are just so far apart.
Mm.
And a lot of expense comes with that. The travel, the food, the gas, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, but what was your biggest takeaway from this year, and what did you learn the most that you're going to take into this year? Obviously,
Yeah, just being for sure more aggressive, and that's like I found I was able to do that in the last round at Aragon, and I mean that's how I got third. But then, I mean, um, just all year, it was not not that aggressive style like they are. Before that corner, saying I will overtake at that corner, and um, just no hesitation about it. So for sure, that is something that got to practice a lot this year, but and we'll take into next year, and always being rapid from the start. Which yeah, that's a big thing I like this year because every track was I'd have I'd never seen the track before, and I'd get one 25-minute session to learn, and then straight to 25-minute quali, and then two races. So I'm getting 4 sessions on the track over the whole weekend. And before the race weekend, you're just watching onboard videos after onboard videos, past races, so many past races, trying to figure out gear patterns before you get there, brake markers before you get there, the lines, where they tip in and where they make overtakes. So that was just, oh, that was crazy. Like, just there was so much pressure on yourself to learn the track and on the track walk to pick up as many things as possible, so that as soon as you went out there, you could just go, because you knew all the other guys had a fair few of them had raced there years before, or they'd done a track day, or they'd raced their national championship there. Um, apart from guys like some of the Brazilians had done the series years prior, and same with the Japanese. But um, it was, and then I think out of six of the, I qualified in the top six for 4 out of the 6 rounds, and I remember Mazzano being like only 4/10 off the all-time like record in the second session, which was just like, you know, because you don't know where you're going, and you come in and you're just like, how the hell did I do that? It's such an adrenaline rush, because you're just pushing yourself, and making yourself let off when they let off and commit where they commit. It's just like, oh man, you just got to have the biggest set of balls. It's
You
incredible.
do, yeah, you do. It's like, holy shit, he's breaking wear and he's getting on the gas there. So you're just like, you know what? I'm either gonna bend it or I'm making it to this corner. But that's
Yeah.
how you push yourself. That's how you find you can do it, and you do have the feeling with the bike.
Mm.
It's there's a lot being said when you race in Europe outside of your country. You don't know the tracks. You don't get a lot of track time. You're kind of guessing on the gearing. You go out there because 300s are so important in the draft. So you might think you have the perfect gearing, and you'll get behind somebody and you're on the rev limiter, and you're like, nah, absolutely, this is not correct, right? And then once you change the gearing, now your braking markers change. Listen, it's a whole game to go into it, but to have not a lot of practice time because there's so much you got to try to work out with with
Yep.
with, the gearing and the bike setup, but mentally, learning the track, trying to get in the toe with the fastest riders as soon as possible to see where they break when they get on the gas, the corner speed they carry, the lines they take,
Yep.
body position. I mean, there's just so much to it.
Mm.
You're limited, especially never been there before, obviously on seat time, setup time, because setup is one of the most important things that a rider has, right? Because if your bike's properly set up to make you, Cameron, the most comfortable to get the best out of the two black round things we call slicks and tires, right? Because that's the name of the game that lets you be comfortable to carry that corner speed, build that momentum up, brake deep, get on the gas earlier, yada,
Yep.
yada, yada. When you have limited time, it's really hard to find that balance. It's almost like even a bigger compromise in your bike setup because
Yep.
of the limited time you have. Um, but again, when you go out there, I couldn't imagine the confidence it boosted you, especially after that first win. I know I keep saying it because I'm so proud of you and
Mm.
so excited for you, right? Um, Actually, I want to get to a couple comments right here. So I got a good mate of mine over there in the UK, Chris Lewis. He says, hi, Simcoe. Hi, Cam. Good to see you. Love Australia. Been there a few times. Chris, I'm jealous. I will make it there. He did say, Cam, he says, or should I say, good day, mate. It's exactly what you should have said. I love it, man. And then my good buddy Ryan Snyder out here, he says, let's go.
Yep.
It's always an honor to have you on. And then Michael Johnson says, hi, Cam.
Hi.
Born to race.
Hey, Michael. Yeah, Michael supported me a lot over my racing since I was first time I met him was when I was in the Oceania Junior Cup in 2021 when I won that, and yeah, he's been a big supporter of mine. Just um, yeah, I super appreciate all the support I get from everyone, and but yeah, that's who Michael is.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's an absolute honor to have you support my friend Cam in his beautiful journey in racing. So, yeah, man. And Cam, it's hard. I get it all the time. I got a lot of friends that race, obviously in Moto America, and I go to the races and I see them like, dude, so and so right out the gate, like within the first two lap is 3/10 off the freaking record, right? And it's like, how do they do that? You know,
Mm.
um, you watching them do that, did you develop more confidence going out knowing that you can do that?
Yeah, that was a thing. I'd always you'd watch it before you got there, and you'd be like, "Man, that looks fast," and you're like, "Can you really do that?" And then it's like once you're out there and it's all happening, you just do it, and it's like, but it feels super fast, but when it's in the moment and it's happening, it doesn't. When it's all happening and you're having to learn it all so quick, it just and because you have to, um, it's just like it doesn't um, feel the same. Like it, I always find sometimes that it looks faster than it feels. Like when people take videos like up really close, and you're like, shit, like I didn't feel it didn't feel like that, you know. But um, when you're so in the zone and you just telling yourself that you have to do it, it's just um, that it is what it is, and that's what happens. But yeah, I actually just realized I qualified in the top six in 5 out of the 6 rounds. So yeah, the only round I didn't was at Donington. I struggled a bit at that track, but um, yeah. So every race was just so much pressure to quickly learn and perform. Like I said, you know. So
Well, it's almost when you do it, it's to me it's almost like it's like time slows down. It don't feel as fast. The front end don't feel as flighty now for some reason. It's like you said, everything comes together and clicks. You don't when it first happens, you don't understand why it happens. And you go back and you talk to your team. Hey, well, you did this here. This was different. This and that, right? And they help you understand why you were so much faster. But do you ever feel that feeling where like time almost kind of slows down a lot as you're doing it, and then once it's over, like 4 second lead, your race win, right? Um, what was it like being ahead coming by, seeing the pit plus 3.8? You're like, wait, what? Plus 3.8?
yeah,
This has got to be a mistake. You know, did it feel like that race had slowed down some, or did it go by so fast? And then when you think about it, um, it was slow, so to speak.
yeah. Like obviously, the race felt incredibly slow. Like just because you just as soon as you're in the lead, you want the race to end. But um, so you're counting every lap, and that just feels like an eternity. But um, like because when I went into the lead, I was at the start of that lap, I was in like seventh, and then there was a few crashes and people sitting up, and I was able to um, pass them quite easily. And then all of a sudden, I'm up into second towards the end of the lap, and then I passed into first into the third last corner. And so at that time, I was sort of felt like it was a bit of a fluke just because everyone had made these mistakes and that. But as soon as I went into the front, I just put my head down and started just because in the wet, a massive advantage is having just no spray in front of your face. And I was like, oh, no, just nothing spraying. I can see. And I knew that was a big advantage. But and like I said, I felt pretty decent on the warm up lap. But yeah, when I got into first, it was like um, I didn't know if it was sort of if I'd stay there for very long. But yeah, then when I was just focusing and um, just hitting my markers and all that, and then I saw the board plus coming up. It was like I was like, man, yeah, it's working. It's happening. And um, I'd even check the big screen on the right down the main straight to see the gap there as well, and it would show when they were crossing the line too. And so that was helping a lot as well. But yeah, so the race at that point felt really long, and because in the wet, it's super easy to make a mistake. You just obviously doing everything to not make a mistake. and you got to be so smooth, and so it just by the end of the race, it was just such a pressure relief. And I remember on the second last lap going down the back straight, and it was like no, I remember on the last lap I was going down the back straight, and I already started crying in my helmet on as the race was still going on the final lap, but uh, yeah,
The emotions, man, that's what it's about. The raw emotions. The I can't believe this is happening. Is this a
mm,
dream? Am I playing PlayStation? Am I dead? Like, what is happening? What is going on? Right? All these emotions of thought are going through your head. Of course, you're like, what's that noise on my bike? Did my bike just make this weird? Breathe, smooth,
yeah,
calm down. Heart's just you don't
yeah,
even
yeah,
realize it. It's and then it's I'm sure you probably thought about man, all the work your parents put in to get you where you don't want to let them down, and then all the pressure you felt, and do I belong here? And you crossed that, you seen that checkered flag, and it was just like reality hit. You're like, holy shit, I
mm,
freaking won. This is absolutely amazing, right? It's again, Cameron, I keep saying it, dude. I'll bring my wife here. She'll tell you, she's like, dude, I was so loud, screaming. She thought there was something wrong. She's like, are
mm,
you okay? I'm like, whoa, Cameron, check this out. She's like, take that shit outside. I'm trying to concentrate, do my work because she works at home sometimes. She's on the computer,
yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I couldn't help it, bro. I was tears of joy. I get emotional when all my friends that race around the world do really well, even here in the United States, obviously, of course, right?
yeah,
Because it means a lot to me, and I know how much it means to you, and I know how much it means to the people that love and support you and put everything in behind you to get to where you are.
yeah,
Um, there's no better feeling in the world. What you felt plus what your parents felt and all your friends and family around the world felt when you won that race finally. It was mate, again, absolutely fucking proper mega, as I always say, man. Let's just keep it real, right? It was, yeah.
yeah.
Chris Lewis actually has a question for you. He says, what is your favorite track and why?
Ah, yeah, I get this question a lot, but um, it's super difficult to answer. Like every single track is like that I raced this year is so good when you can get them right. Like they're all top quality, and you know, um, just can be pushed so hard. But my favorite track on the World Superbikes that I did this year, uh, I'd say would be probably Assen. But for a 300, because Assen is quite flat out on the 300, and it's not super hard. But on a big bike, it'd be amazing because it's so fast. It's like Phillip Island sort of, and every corner's just got like little banking on them. You don't really the TV doesn't really do it justice, but a lot of the corners have little bits of banking on them, and you can just hook it so hard into some of the corners. But that was like my favorite track. But for the 300, the best track was Mazzano, because Mazzano was for sure had it had the first section a string of fairly tight corners and has a fair few hard braking corners too. Good change of direction, and so for the 300 that was the best track. And Mazzano is awesome surface, super smooth, super grippy. Um, so they were, but then also like where I podiumed at Aragon, I really like Aragon too. I love anti-clockwise tracks for some reason. Left, I don't know, left-handers seem to feel really good, but I got nothing against clockwise tracks. So like I love them too, but I don't know. Aragon was really nice. It's good up and down parts, but the best track for the 300 was Mazzano. My favorite all-round track was Assen. But I remember when I raced in Asia in 2022, my favorite track in Asia was Motegi, Japan. Um, so because that track was uh, just sort of perfect for a bike. I don't know, like it had barely any bumps. The track wasn't overly wide, but for me, it just felt like a perfect size track. Had double apex corners, fast flip flops, hard braking downhill, many hairpins. You'd go onto some bridges, which was cool. It was just a really cool track, in my opinion, and I love Japan too. That was my favorite track in Asia, and I'd do anything to race there again. But like, also I've ridden Portimao. Portimao is, everyone will say, it's insane track. Like, it's extremely daunting when you first walk it. Like, the elevation, like, it looks crazy on TV, but when you go there and you walk it, um, you're like, man, I got to hit this full throttle tomorrow. But um, so, but and yeah, that's my first round this year actually is Portimao, and I'm super excited to ride there. But so like my answer, like I've said a lot of tracks, which shows I don't have a particular favorite. Like they're all super good when you get them right, and um, but I guess you can sort of get a gauge on what I like based off those tracks I said. But yeah,
Yeah, it's you get on some tracks and you just gel immediately. Other tracks you show up like the back section. Oh, it's fucking amazing. The first half of it, I can't stand it. It's just because you haven't figured out the way around the track comfortably at speed yet, right? But once you do, it all comes together, and it's a cliche. Uh, us right-handers feel more comfortable in the left bends. Most left-handed people feel more comfortable in the right. I think it's that left right brain kind of thing, right? But when you're such a legend as yourself, the lefts and the rights are all blend together, and it all comes to one anyway.
yeah,
um and I remember seeing Aragon, and I was like, dude, like some of these jumps, and you're right, I say it all the time. You see the tracks on TV, you're like, yeah, it looks kind of steep. In real life, you see it, you're like, holy shit, what, are you kidding me right now? Like, I hit this in fourth gear, I'm definitely leaping like Cadwell Park.
Laguna Seca, corkscrew as well.
Yeah, so Laguna Seca, I've been there. It's an amazing track. It's a good spectator track. Obviously, it's very popular with the riders too as well.
Yep,
And it's true. You stand down there at the bottom of turn 11, right? So it's that sharp left, and then
yeah,
you come down. Well, they call it a straight. It's not really a fucking straight. You go, and then it's that left, and so turn one to me at Laguna Seca is a proper mega. It's the best corner on the track. Everybody says the corkscrew. For me, it's turn one because that's what separates the men from the boys. Because you're depending on the bike, fifth, sixth gear, tapped out, wide open, can't even see over the crest. You got to know
yep,
the track, know where you're going to put it to come out on the other side, right? But when
yep.
you're standing at the bottom of 11, bro, and you're looking up at, you're like, holy shit, it's a steep fucking incline. Um, but as anything, you get on there, you ride it a couple times, it's second nature, and you just rail it, right? It's like any track, Cameron. You get on there, you got to know the lines. Once you figure out the lines, then the speed comes and all that good stuff. So yeah,
I,
man.
I remember Dad saying when he was at Laguna Seca, he was walking it, and he like he was able to sort of at the steepest part, he was able to sort of lean over and put his hand on the track, right next to him almost,
Yep. It is. No, for real. It's that's no lie. At Daytona 200 too. You see the baking on TV, but when you're there in real life, bro, it's like that. You're like, holy shit, are you kidding me right now? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's proper mega, as I always say. So we have another comment. David S. Thank you for watching. He says, "Hey mate, awesome to see your progress and doing well out there. Hopefully, catch you at SMSP again sometime when you're not competing overseas. Cool hearing your stories. Keep up the good fight."
Yeah, SMSP is Sydney Motorsport Park, Eastern Creek. So that's a that's one of our main tracks, and there's that track, Phillip Island, and then the Bend Motorsport Park in Adelaide. There are three uh, most popular. Um,
Premier
yeah,
tracks. Yeah.
and that's also known as Eastern Creek, the Sydney track, which where 500s used to race. But
Old school. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. But yeah, so they do these night series race there in summer. But yeah, I'll be at the next one, David, in I think it's on February 8th or 9th. But yeah, I go out there and race the 600 just for some training. It's good, to get. I think it's good to be fast on a bike that's bigger than what you're racing, because once you get on the smaller bike, it makes it feel a lot easier to ride, because like 600 is extra 20 kilos sort of, and an extra 80 horsepower.
Only 80 horsepower, right? Like,
So
yeah.
uh, faster and more heavy bike. If you can make that fast and get used to handling that around it, it'll just make the 300 life easier. So I do that for some training in the off season.
Oh, 100%, Cameron. Riding a bigger bike, a lot of people go from, a 400 to 600, but they don't take into account the 600 is heavier than a 400. Yeah, it's got more horsepower, but you also got to have the muscle to hustle it around and stay consistent lap times too, as well, right? But
Yep.
when you go back down to the 300 or the 400, you built that extra muscle. You're used to a heavier bike. You get on this little bike and you're like, bro,
Mm.
this is absolutely nothing, right? Because you could throw it around a whole lot more. Um, Chris Lewis actually has a question for you too. He says, "What's your thoughts on Donington?"
Yeah, on Donington, it was quite a different track to anything I'd ever ridden. It was quite the first section is like built in the hills and really flowy, and but for some reason I just took a while to get my head around that track, and you know there was I remember turn one, for example, like not a very difficult turn, but I'd um it was sort of put me off guard. Like I'd turn in early and then I'd exit late, but then I'd run out of track. You had to turn in much later and exit later. Whereas I'd turn in sort of where it looked normal, but then and I'd exit where it looked normal, but then you just out of no track. You got no track, so I'd mess that up, and then that'd make my run down through Craner curves slow, and then when you get to bottom of Craner curves, you got that right hander before you go uphill, and you're going into there with so much speed, and I'd find I'd just rush into there too deep, and I'd just blow the apex, and then my run out of there up the hill was messed up, and then, but then once I got to the top of the hill, I was quite good in that section. When you're coming up that hill and you go around that left into that right, do you know where we're at?
Yep.
That section I got my head around that. And then you got the back straight and the chicane. I can't remember what they call it. I think I just call it chicane, but anyway, and you could go through there quite fast. There was a lot of track on the exit of that chicane, but it looks really tight on the entry. And I don't know, man. It was just, and at that time I wasn't getting good results, sort of struggling for setup, and it wasn't, things weren't sort of clicking at that moment. That was the round before Magny-Core, and it wasn't until after that round I really sort of found a good setup with the bike. But like a really amazing track, honestly, super fast, and I really want to go back there and ride it again now, because I think I could go a lot better there than what I did, because just things weren't going right at that time. But I'm always into the big fast, like the fast and flowy circuits, and when I first went around there, I was like, so cool. So yeah, for sure, is an awesome track, and you know, quite different to is different to the more modern tracks. Like uh, for example, Aragon. Like I think when they built Aragon, they built it on a computer. And
They did, yeah.
and whereas tracks like Donington, Phillip Island, those sort of tracks, natural, and I've always liked those tracks. And but yeah, just had a few corners that were a bit off-putting, and but once you figure that track out, a lot of people say it's their favorite.
Donington, Cam, is one of those tracks that it's not a very big track. It seems big, but it's not, right? And it's you mess up turn one, dude, all the way down Craner's curves to that tight right hand, dude, it's all fucked up. Like it's hard to make up anytime, you know. Um, the back section does open up more. It is one of my favorite tracks to race on the PlayStation. I've never ridden there, right?
Yeah.
It's and I can only say that by playing the PlayStation. But you know, as I'm playing it, if I mess up turn one or turn two, that's it. Like my whole lap's almost pretty much shot. It's hard to make up any time at all throughout
Yeah.
that track because you don't. There's no time to rest. There's no time to recoup. You know that back straight. It's not really a whole back straight because you're going so fast. It's like this long, right? And by the time you get a thought in your head, it's oh shit, I got to brake for this chicane,
Mm.
and then you know back on the gas and down the front straight, you know, blah blah blah. So it's a it's a lovely track. It is one of my favorites. Craner Curve and all that is absolutely my favorite section of the whole track. It reminds me a little bit of Magello. I don't know why, but Donington reminds me a little bit of Magello.
Yeah.
I think the way that it flows in the back section too as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we got Ryder number 24 says Cam Swain is an absolute legend and a true champion. Ryder, I couldn't have said it better myself, mate. You are absolutely right.
Cheers, Ryder. Appreciate it, mate. Ryder's a upcoming rider riding Ovales in. He was racing in Malaysia last season, and I'm not sure. He's very young, and but he's coming up, and he's got big dreams of doing really good like everyone else. And so yeah, nah. Thank you, Ryder. I wish you all the best with your racing as well, mate.
Absolutely, Ryder. I hope whatever level of success you dream of in your career, I hope you achieve it 8 times over, just as my man Cam Swain right here. I tell him all the time. It's yeah, it's people like you are making our sport grow. More importantly, Cam, your attitude, the way you approach people, the way you are around people. I know I haven't met you in real life yet. I mean, this is real life, but I'm talking about physically, right? Um, one of my favorite things to do is when I go to the races is watch my friends on the weekend step back and watch how the team and everybody come together and then you know let's say they don't have a good session but how they also interact with the public and the fans asking them for pictures and autographs and all that because that's what defines you, you know. uh all this all these symbols, all these statues, all these trophies, all that is just a temporary status you get, right? But you as a
Mm.
person is and the mark you leave on people defines you in your whole life, right? The
Yeah.
impressions you leave on people. um so it's important to stay happy in between the bad sessions and always put out that love and that good smile. Which brings me, we hadn't really touched on 2025. We're almost an hour into this podcast, man. So tell everybody, man, what's going on in 2025, who you riding for, and yeah, how many wins we're gonna get this season, mate?
Yeah. Yeah, in 2025, doing World Supersport 300. Uh, like the step up from the R3 World Cup, what I was doing in 2024. And so in World Supersport 300, I'm racing with Yamaha Moto X Racing, which is they run two superbikes. They're running Batin Sofoglu and Tito Rabat. They're testing at Jerez. They were testing there yesterday, and they're testing there today, I think. Yeah, and then they run us, me and my teammate Mark Vick on he's the R3 World Cup champion from last year. They running us as like a support team, a junior team, just trying to find talent but so they're heavily supported by Yamaha Europe, and so they're super professional and super excited to work with them. They're an Italian based team, and I'll be moving to Italy to a small town called Monselice, which is like an hour and a half southwest of Venice. So it's like sort of in the middle, not near any beaches, but like it'll be pretty small. I'll have to fully learn Italian, and you know, um, I'll be training there, and Um, yeah. So my goals is just to I want to be in the front group for sure. It's going to be another step up in level again, like because there's more than the Yamahas. There's the Kawasaki Ninja 400s. There's KDM 390s. There's some Chinese bike called a Kove
Never heard
300
of that. Yeah, never heard of that.
coming really strong actually, and they're really fast. I think there's I'm not sure if there's four of those on the grid, but so it's a bit of a mixed class. So, and like I said, there's riders from all around the world, and World Supersport 300 is just the most cutthroat class ever, man. Like it's just even crazier than the racing I was doing last year. It's just so many bikes and riders banging bars, and um, you know, so that'll be another step up in aggression again, which I got to get used to. But like, for sure, if the pace isn't the big problem. The hardest thing is just being aggressive against those guys, and if I can be in the front group at the beginning and um, just keep on building and building, and by the end of the year, you know, everyone everyone wants to go in and win, um, and I think if you're not going there with an intention to want to win, again, it's like why are you there? And I don't want to sound deluded, saying I'm going to go in and win, and because I don't, yeah, I think you do have to give yourself time to build, but you do have to go there with confidence and backing yourself. You can't just go there thinking they're going to spank my ass, and let them all get to you. So for sure, I want to be doing something at the front of the races, and you got to see what happens and just build, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So with saying that, we're actually coming up on the hour, and I know it's Thursday morning there, and you got a busy day ahead. So just stay on with me after I after we stop this podcast. We'll go ahead and schedule our part 3 to this. Um, what expectations, or have you put any expectations on yourself for this season?
Yeah. If you got to stay consistent for sure. Like if you want to, because a lot of carnage happens in 300s, and you can lose bags of points so quickly. And that was a thing last year. I had a few bad races where I just lost a lot of points, and that dented my championship a lot. So a goal is to be just constantly finishing strong races, and if I can, try to be in that front group all the time, and just if you're going sweet and you're at the front, then sure you can go for the wins. But like, if at that time all you can get is P7, then good strong result. Just got to take everything as it comes and
Dinner's ready.
Step by step, and just as long as I'm not at the back, but I'm gonna be doing all my best to not be there.
Listen, mate, you're an absolute legend. You belong here. You deserve to be there, and you have such a bright future ahead of you. You already know I'm a super mega fan of yours. Listen, my advice is stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. You belong here. You know you can win. So yes, it's a new challenge coming up with stronger opposition, but which also make you stronger, not only on the track, off the track, but also mentally, which is going to elevate your game too as well.
Yeah,
It's listen, you got this, bro. Absolutely, you got this. Don't have any doubts, and more importantly, and the most important is have fun, mate. Because if
yeah,
you're not having fun, you're not going fast, and you're struggling mentally and physically and all that stuff. So, bro, you definitely got to listen. Again, you belong here. You are a champion. You are a legend, and you will win and succeed in all genres of life, not just in racing, outside of racing too as well. Um, so yeah, Cam, it's an absolute honor to sit down with you again, mate, my friend, dude. I can't wait for part 3 coming up. So everybody, thank you guys so much for joining in. I have another buddy of mine that's actually watching right now, Matthew Chapin. He actually
Yep.
won the Junior Cup, dude. He's an absolute legend. Michael Johnson says, great podcast, Cam. All the best for 2025. Absolutely. Robert Hyper says, shake and bake. You already know it, Rob. Yeah. Susan Starr says, USA next. Listen, this is on the agenda. I really want to get Cameron out here and in Moto America. So, yeah, we're going to be working together this year. I'm going to be walking around the paddock as I have been in the off season, putting your name out there. So I really want to make this dream come true for you and get you over here, man. And so you can rack up some more wins. And yeah, let's go. Let's freaking go, baby. But before I let you give all your shout outs, first and foremost, I just got to say thanks for everybody that watches this podcast. If you guys and girls had not had a chance, please go like and subscribe on all my formats, my YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, blah, 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 blah. Without you, Cameron, and all my friends that's come on here, this would not be possible, and I would not be able to do what I do. So nothing but love to every single one of you. I really appreciate it. It's absolutely it's such an honor, and I say it all the time. Big shout out to Next Level Financial, bisontrack.com, Chef Eats, TST Industries, theclothingkings.co.uk, Superbike Supply, SFL Mini GP, RD Racing, my mate Jake Marsh, Vet2 Track, Flying Eyes Optics, 64 Degree Racing, Ghetto Customs, Carnes Performance, KYT Helmets America, K-Tech Suspension. If you're not on K-Tech, what are you guys riding on? So big shout out to my man Jakari Kendall and Birch at K-Tech. RTR, Ready to Race in North Carolina. Coleman Power Sports here in Roanoke, Virginia. McLeo Escapes Track and Tour, which my friend has this Track and Tour Escapes where you can go and actually ride MotoGP tracks and travel the country and hotels and all that good stuff. Road Racing World Fund. I need everybody to go to roadracingworld.com. Go to the Road Racing World Fund, donate for our air fences. It's imperative. We don't have air fences. We're not going racing. And I'm sure it's the same out there in ASBK in the world too. Without the corner marshals, the air fences, and the ambulance, we're not going to race. So big shout out to all them. Yeah, and STG, man. And absolute amazing. It's an absolute honor to sit down with you again, Cameron. Go ahead, give all your shout outs, mate. Tell them where they can find you, where they can support you. Are you going to have any merch for sale this year?
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't at the moment. Like I should definitely be getting some made. Like and getting more professional with all that stuff because racing in the World Championship, that's all got to take a step up, I reckon. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, jump on my Instagram, cam.swain26, and my Facebook's Cameron Swain Racing, #26. Yeah, so give those a like and follow. And thanks to everyone who gets me where I am. I couldn't do it without all of you. And yeah, let's keep the journey going and doing our very best and see where it all ends up.
It's going to end up on the top box with many championships on your belt, mate. So one day when you have kids and you're married and you look back and you got your own trophy room and all that. So yeah, that's exactly how it's going to play out. You guys heard it first on Pin the Gas. So mate, listen, get you some hats, get you some swag, man, some t-shirts, sweatshirts, and all that. You let me know as soon as you do, because I'm definitely going to buy some from you. I'm going to send you some money. You send them to me. I'm going to wear them on my podcast. And yeah, it's an absolute honor to sit down with the legend, Cameron Swain.
Thank you very much, mate.
Dude, you're right. Look, Suzanne says, and your wife is interrupting for dinner. Yeah, she's been sending me text messages. Hey, dinner's ready. So it's all good, Suzanne. Thank you for reminding me. But yes, you are mega. Thank you, Suzanne. But yeah, Cameron, listen, this has been an absolute honor again. Thanks so much, mate. Man, and thank you again for all the emotions this season. It's been a roller coaster ride. It really has. I know stepping up to an overseas championship, there's so much more added pressure on you versus a domestic championship because there's so many unknowns in the people you're going to meet. What if they don't like, listen, there's so much that goes into it, but you, my friend, is a proper mega superstar, a legend. You belong in this sport. Stay happy, smile, put out that positive energy, and can't wait to see you kick much ass in 2025. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, Cameron Swain.
Thanks so
All right.
much, mate, for having me. All right.
Absolute honor, mate. I appreciate it. Is there anything you want to say before I end the podcast?
Yeah, just everyone have an awesome day, and yeah, like I said, we'll just keep chipping away, and hopefully give me a bit of support, and just see where we end up, and I'll try to do you all proud, and I'll do my very best in the off season before the first round in March, and in Portugal, and we'll just kick off from there, and I'll keep you all updated, and yeah, thank you.
Listen, you're welcome. And Cameron, you already made us all proud, mate. 100%. 100%. But yeah, nothing but love. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, Cameron Swain, and yeah, we'll see you soon. All right,
Cheers.
Cameron. Cheers, mate. I'm gonna end this real quick. Just stay with me, and we're gonna go ahead and schedule our next one. Okay.
All right, mate. All good.
All right. Hang on. Let me end.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.